Yes, students, hello and a very warm welcome to today's English class. I hope you all are doing great. And today we are here just to complete the chapter that we had already started in our previous classes. And as you all know that we have been doing Evan tries an O level, and it's about a prisoner who appeared for an O level exam in the prison itself, and how he managed to escape from there, and how the police got caught him, and how the police followed him, what codes they followed, and how they decoded the language in which the codes were supplied to events to make an escape from the jail. So all these things we have been doing, and we are at a climax part कि जब uncode हो गई सब चीजें, तो how they reach there, how they reach that point. तो अब हम उसी जगह पे आ गए हैं, and now we are going to continue with that. So see, हम थोड़ा सा यहाँ से लेते हैं. Nice name, Golden, Zoom, Golden, and Lowen. And now this was a code. Zoom, Golden, Lowen. Now they say that how did you know which golden lion it was? अब उन्होंने ये तो समझ लिया that this Golden and Lowen means golden lion. So they say that how do you know that which golden lion it was? Because there are hundreds of them. This is same as you, Evans. You wrote index number 313, center number 271, and remember it's 6 figures. And if you take an audience survey map for Oxfordshire, you find that the 6 figures reference 313, 271 lands you bang in the middle of the Chipping Norton. Yeah, you are right. Who we would have hoped you would run off to the Newbury. उन्होंने बोला yes, you are right, and we hoped. हम लोगों ने यही सोचा था that you would have run off to Newbury. तुम कहाँ भाग गए होते? तुम Newbury भाग गए होते. We did. उसने बोला and we did that. और हमने ऐसा सोचा and हमने ऐसा follow भी किया. Now this was a big thing on their part, and they say. We did. Well, that's something I suppose. And he says that, yes, this is something that I suppose. And that question paper, Evans, and you could really understand that all German I could hardly. And they say that question paper, Evans. Us question paper, mein, the way the codes were presented, you understand all that German, and I could hardly understand that. And he says, nah, of course I. He says, nah, of course I couldn't. मैं भी नहीं पढ़ पाया. I knew roughly what it was all about. But we just opened it. It would throw a few spanners in the works, sort of muddle everybody a bit. Now उन्होंने बोला हमें ज्यादा नहीं आती, we just with a hope we just opened it. हमने सिर्फ एक उम्मीद के साथ में उसे क्या किया, उसे just हमने open किया, nothing more than that. And we could hardly understand that. और उसको खोलने के बाद में क्या हुआ, we all got muddled a bit, everybody was muddled a bit. And they say the governor stood up, governor खड़े हुए, tell me one thing before we go. They says that tell me one thing before we go, how on earth did you get all that blood to pour over your head? उन्होंने बोला, गवर्नर खड़े हुए, उन्होंने बोला टेल मी वन थिंग, एक चीज बताओ मुझे बिफोर वी गो, इससे पहले कि हम लोग जो ऐसे जाए, हाउ ऑन अर्थ, कैसे तुम्हें वो ब्लड कैसे मैनेज किया तुमने, ऑल दैट ब्लड टू पोर ओवर योर हेड, जो तुमने अपने सर पे डाला. इवान सडनली लुक्ड अ लिटिल हैप्पियर, थोड़ा सा खुश हो गया. ही सेज क्लेवर सर, वेरी क्लेवर, दैट वाज now to get a couple of pint of blood into the cell. उसने बोला how to get a couple of pint of blood into the cell. यही तो smartness थी. When there's none there to start off with, and when the invigilator, shall we say, gets searched before he comes in. And yes, sir, you can well ask about that, and I done. If I ought to tell you, after all, I might want to use that particular dash dash dash. उसने बोला sir, यही तो बात है, that how all these things started off, when this happened, when the invigilator came, and what searches before he comes in. And yes, sir, you can well ask about that, but I am not going to tell you anything. After all, I might use that particular thing again and again. Anything to do with a rubber ring for piles perhaps. उन्होंने बोला anything to do with a little rubber thing for piles perhaps. Evans grinned feebly, और Evans बहुत ही अजीब सी हंसी हंसा. Clever though wasn't it? उसने बोला नहीं नहीं ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. Now they say must have been a tricky job sticking a couple of pins. Now you have got it wrong, sir. No problem about that. No. उन्होंने बोला बड़ा tricky रहा होगा ना ये चीजें मैनेज करना, कैसे तुम pint of blood तुमने मैनेज किया. उसने बोला नहीं सर, you got it wrong. It was not at all a problem. बिल्कुल ये प्रॉब्लम वाली बात थी नहीं ना. It's the clotting. You see that a big trouble. उसने बोला blood coming of the blood is not at all a problem, but clotting is a big trouble. We got the blood easy enough, pig's blood. It was from the slaughterhouse in the Kindleton. But to stop it clotting, you have to mix your actual blood. Ivan took a breath. With 1/10 of its volume, 3.8% trisodium citrate. Didn't know that, did you, sir? उसने बोला नहीं सर, ब्लड मैनेज करना was not difficult. But you know what? उसने बोला सर, ब्लड मैनेज करना इज नॉट एट ऑल अ प्रॉब्लम, बट द प्रॉब्लम वाज व्हाट, कि आप उस ब्लड को क्लॉट होने से कैसे बचाओगे. दैट इज द बिग ट्रबल. वी गॉट ब्लड इजी. पिग का ब्लड था एंड इट वाज फ्रॉम द स्लॉटर हाउस इन द किंडलिंगटन. उसने बोला बट टू गेट इट स्टॉप्ड क्लॉटिंग, क्लॉट होने से उसको रोकना, उसको आपको एक्चुअल ब्लड के साथ में मिक्स करना पड़ता है. नाउ मिक्सिंग इट विद एक्चुअल ब्लड, ऐसा कहते हुए इवान जस्ट टुक अ ब्रेथ. He says that 1/10 of its own volume, 1/10 तो उसका खुद का वॉल्यूम of 3.8% of trisodium citrate उसमें होना. Didn't know that, sir. नहीं मालूम था आपको सर. Did you? The governor shook his head in a token of reluctant admiration. गवर्नर ने अपना हेड तो हिलाया, शेक किया, बट उसने एडमायर करते हुए हिलाया अपना सिर. बट यू नो दैट इट वाज अ रिलक्टेंट एडमायरेशन, दैट ही डिडंट वांट टू एडमायर बट ही हैड टू. We learn something new every day. They tell me, come on, my lad. उन्होंने बोला, we learn something every day. हम रोज कुछ ना कुछ नया सीखते हैं. They tell me, come on, my lad. And Ivan made no show of resistance, and side by side the two men walked slowly down the stairs. Evans ने किसी तरह का कोई रेजिस्टेंस, कोई बचाव नहीं शो किया. उन्होंने उसको बोला आने के लिए, वो उनके साथ चुपचाप चला गया. ठीक है, उनके साथ स्टेयर से वॉक करता हुआ नीचे चला गया, उसको कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं थी. टेल मी इवांस, हाउ डिड यू मैनेज टू प्लान ऑल दिस बिजनेस? You have had no visitors, I have seen to that, and you have had no letters. I've got a lot of friends though. What's that supposed to mean? Me, German teacher for a start, you mean? But he was from the technical college. Was he? Ivan was almost enjoying it all now. Ever check upon him, sir? God Almighty, there's far more going on than I always will be, sir. Everything ready? Asked governor as they stood by the reception desk. The van's out the front, sir, said the pretty blonde receptionist. Ivan winked at her and she winked back at him. It almost made his day. Now उसने बोला, इवान तो आराम से चला गया उनके साथ में, से बोला टेल मी इवान, तुमने ये प्लान कैसे मैनेज किया? हाउ डिड यू मैनेज टू प्लान ऑल दिस बिजनेस? बिकॉज यू डोंट हैव विजिटर्स, तुम्हारे कोई विजिटर्स नहीं आते, एंड आई हैव सीन टू दैट, एंड यू आल्सो डिड नॉट हैव एनी काइंड ऑफ लेटर्स. He says, sir, but I have got a lot of friends though. He says, what's that supposed to mean? उसने बोला, मेरे जर्मन टीचर फॉर अ स्टार्ट. You mean that? But he was from a technical college. वो कहते हैं अच्छा, was he? Now he was actually enjoying everything. Evans जो था, he was enjoying every bit, we can say. हर एक छोटी छोटी चीज को इवान एंजॉय कर रहा था. एंड उन्होंने क्या बोला, दैट एवर चेक अपॉन हिम, सर? उसने बोला यस सर, ऐसा था, आपने कभी उनको चेक किया? ही सेज, नाउ द गवर्नर इज सेइंग, गॉड ऑलमाइटी, हे भगवान, पता नहीं और क्या क्या हो रहा होगा उस यहाँ पे, जितना मुझे नहीं मालूम उससे ज्यादा हो रहा होगा. एंड इवान कहता है सर हमेशा होता रहेगा ये तो, ऐसा बोला उन्होंने. एंड एवरीथिंग इज रेडी नाउ. गवर्नर स्टैंडिंग एट द रिसेप्शन डेस्क, उन्होंने बोला कि क्या सब रेडी है, तैयारी हो चुकी है. नाउ वो प्रिटी ब्लॉन्ड रिसेप्शनिस्ट जो थी, उसने बोला सर द वैन इज वेटिंग आउटसाइड इन द फ्रंट. उसने इतनी बात बोली और इतना कह के इवान जस्ट विंक्ड एट हर एंड शी विंक्ड बैक. इवान ने उनकी तरफ विंक किया और उन्होंने उसको विंक बैक किया, एंड इट ऑलमोस्ट मेड हिज डे. और उसका तो दिन बन गया, उसको कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ रहा था, उसको पुलिस लेके जा रही है. A silent prison officer handcuffed and recaptured Evans, and together the two men clambered awkwardly into the back seat of the prison van. एक साइलेंट प्रिजन ऑफिसर आए, उन्होंने उसको हाथ में हथकड़ी पहना दी एंड रिकैप्चर कर लिया इवान को. एंड टुगेदर द टू मेन दे क्लैम्बर्ड ऑकवर्डली into the back seat of the prison van. See you soon, Evans. It was almost as if the governor were saying farewell to an old friend after a cocktail party. अब गवर्नर ने जब वो प्रिजन वैन में बैठ के जा रहे थे, गवर्नर ने बैठ के उसको बोला सी यू सून इवेंट्स, ऐसे जैसे कि उसको फेयरवेल कर रहे हैं किसी ओल्ड फ्रेंड को आफ्टर अ कॉकटेल पार्टी. Chero sir, I was just wondering, I know your German pretty good sir, but do you know any more of these modern languages? Not very well. Why? उसने बोला. Now CU को बोलता है Chero sir, and he says, I was just wondering that I should know many of this German language of your pretty good, but sir, you know, I was not able to do that. But sir, do you know any more of these languages? क्या आपको ऐसी और languages आती है? Not very well. Why? उसने बोला नहीं, why? Now Ivan settled himself comfortably on the back seat and grinned happily. Nothing really. I just happened to notice that you have got some O-level Italian classes coming up next September. That's all. Ivan ने comfortably अपने आप को settle down किया at the back seat and he grinned happily and he says, nothing really happened, sir. I just happened to notice that you have got some O-level Italian classes coming up next September. That's all. Perhaps you won't be with us next September, Evans. James Roderick Evans appeared to ponder the governor's words deeply. No, perhaps I won't, he said. उन्होंने बोला, governor says, yes, classes are coming, but you won't be with us next September, Evans. Now, James Roderick Evans won't be with us next September, Evans. Now, governors word deeply. इवैन ने इन वर्ड्स को बहुत पॉन्डर ओवर किया, बहुत ही डीपली गहराई से सोचा, एंड ही सेज नो परहैप्स आई वोंट, ही सेड, एज द प्रिजनर वेंट टर्न राइट फ्रॉम चिपिंग नॉटन ऑन टू द ऑक्सफोर्ड रोड, द hitherto silent prisoner officer unlocked the handcuffs and leaned forward towards the driver. For Christ's sake, get a move on. It won't make them long to find out. Where do you suggest we make for us? The driver in the broad Scots accent. What about Newbury? Suggested Evans. Now, जैसे ही चिपिंग नॉर्टन से उनकी गाड़ी ने टर्न किया the prison van to the Oxford Road, on the Oxford Road we can say. Now, वो जो silent prison officer थे, he just unlocked the handcuffs and वो lean हुए towards the driver. उन्होंने बोला, भगवान के खातिर get a move on. It won't take them long to find out. उसने बोला, where do you suggest we make for us? The driver, and he says in a broad Scott accent, what about Newbury? Suggested Evans. उतने में Evans बोला, what about Newbury? Newbury चले. Now इतना कहते ही they were off to Newbury. That is again Evan got an escape because he gave a hint that I have friends everywhere. मेरे पास हर जगह पे बहुत सारे friends हैं. So this place also the friends were of his use. यहाँ पे भी उसको कौन मिल गया? उसको उसके friends मिल गए. And one of the friend took him where he actually wanted to go. So see what it is now. Summarize करते हैं इसको in short, ठीक है? So we all know that this story, Van Tries an O-Level, it's written by Colin Dexter, and it's a very interesting story depicting how a prisoner called James Evans befools all the prison officers to escape under a well laid out plan. Despite the best efforts of the prison authorities, Evan was able to escape. And in this battle of wits between him and the prison authorities, he has the last laugh. That is, he just ran and he was successful. So what we can say that the theme जो होती है story की वो क्या है? The story talks about a criminal named Evans, who was also known as what? Evans the prison breaker. Prison officials make huge efforts to keep Evans safely in the prison, but eventually he escapes successfully. Though he outwits the officials, they marvel at his ingenuity and wisdom. फिर भी वो लोग कहते थे उसकी बुद्धि और उसकी ingenuity की तो मिसाल देनी पड़ेगी. He is amazing. The way Ivan manages things was a really amazing thing. तो वो इस तरह से ऐसी situation में भी they just praise Evans. Evans को ही praise कर जाते हैं because of his sharp wit. That Ivan was a very sharp-witted person. So the summary goes like that. The Ivan is a prison breaker. After breaking out the prison thrice, he is in the prison for the fourth time. Now, ये जो exam उसने दिया, for this he was in the prison for the fourth time. He decides to break away and is again successful. Yes, he did so by desiring to have some. उन्होंने ऐसा कैसे किया? By desiring to have some sort of academic qualification while serving his imprisonment. For this, he wanted to take the O-level examination in German. और इसके लिए उनको क्या करना है, ओ लेवल एग्जामिनेशन लेना है जर्मन में. A German teacher came to teach him for 10 months in the prison. German teacher did what? He came to teach him for 10 months in the prison. And after that, the examination was arranged in his cell itself. A person called McLeary was called to invigilate the exam. Ab now hua kya wahan pe? He just wanted to have a sort of academic qualification while serving his imprisonment. And for this, unhe kya karna tha? O level examination lena tha German language ka. German teacher came for 10 months in the prison to teach him, and after that exam was arranged for him in the cell itself. Now a person called McLeary was there to invigilate the exam, and governor himself supervised all security arrangements and lest the prisoner might escape during the exam. 2 prison officers were deputed to keep an eye on him, and the parson left with all the papers after the exam got over. However, later it was discovered that Evans had escaped in a guise of the parson. That is, किसका बहरूपिया बन के चला गया था, वो मैक्लियरी का. Now, further they says that Evans had badly wounded the parson behind the prison cell, who claimed that he knew where Evans might be found, and at once he was sent in the police van to catch the prisoner. Since parson was bleeding profusely, he was taken to the hospital on the way. Later it was found that no wounded parson had ever come to the hospital. Now it was known and realized that Evan had not escaped in guise of Parson McLeary. He had stayed in and befooled the entire prison staff. The blood flowing him from his head had not been his own blood. It was rather a pig's blood that McLeary had cleverly managed to bring in. Similarly, we can say that he was not the real McLeary. The real Parson McLeary was tied by some man in his room since morning. And towards the end of the story, the governor gets hold of Evans in a hotel room, handcuffs. Ivan is sent away with the prison officer in the prison van. Once again, Ivan gets better of the governor, and both the prison officer and prison van had been part of the plan mastered by the Ivan's friends. ठीक है, अब ये जो prison van और जो prison officer ये भी उसके friend. Ivan had been able to escape from prison 3 times earlier as well, and once again he became a free bird. एक बार फिर से वो क्या बन गया? Free bird. Turns out that prison officers used to call him Evans the Break for a good reason. Now ये पता चला that जब prison officers बोलते थे ना Evans the Break, it was always called for some or the other good reason. कोई ना कोई good reason के लिए ही बोलते थे. Because escaping from there, getting away from there, वो कहीं ना कहीं अपने आप में बहुत interesting चीज थी और इतनी आसान चीज नहीं थी. So we can say that yes, the story begins in the Oxford prison, where the governor contact the secretary of examination board on telephone. यहाँ से ये story शुरू होती है that he wanted to appear for the exam, and for that he was taking tuitions. Exam was arranged for him, but he had escaped from the jail 3 times, so it was supposed to be shifted to another house later. Governor was very irritated by him and did not want to take any chance. Now उन्होंने उसके लिए बहुत सारी चीजें उन्होंने उसके लिए अरेंज कर दी. ठीक है. Now after arranging everything, बहुत सारी चीजें like उसके लिए पूरा एग्जाम पेपर अरेंज हुआ, 2 गार्ड्स आए उसके वहां पे. There were 2 guards, we can say the prison officers were there जिन्होंने उसको प्रोटेक्ट करने का काम किया. So all these things, but at 11:25 as the exam got over, Stephen ने personally escort किया McLeary को to the prison gate. He find that उन्हें एक चीज पे डाउट हुआ that he was looking slimmer and his Scott accent was very prominent. Everything went off well. Stephen thought of having a last look at Evans before getting relieved, and was shocked to find out that the man was lying in Evans' chair covered with blood. जब उन्होंने find किया तो उन्होंने देखा that it was McLeary. फटाफट से McLeary को लेके गए and they just provided him with all the medical assistance that he should have. But later they came to know that it was actually not McLeary, it was actually Evan, जिसे वो इस injured हालत में वहां से खुद अपनी तरफ से भगा के ले आए. And meanwhile, Evan was enjoying his freedom at a luxurious hotel. But he was surprised and shocked to find the governor in his room. Evans felt defeated and confessed that there was no mistake in spelling of Golden Lion. It had been done since the hotel had not been fixed. उन्होंने बोला इसलिए वहां पे गड़बड़ की. So encoding all the things, the 6-digit number 313, 217 and other things, just discovering and unfolding all these things, the governor was keen to know from where did he get blood to pour on his face, कि उन्हें ultimately ये सारा blood कहाँ से मिला जिसको उन्होंने अपने face पे pour किया. Ivan admitted that it was now pig's blood in the rubber ring that McCleary had brought. नाउ इवान को हैंडकफ करके प्रिजन वैन में डाला. वैन ने जैसे ही लेफ्ट किया वहां से एंड इट टर्न राइट फ्रॉम द चिपिंग नॉट, एंड प्रिजन ऑफिसर्स ने उसको अनलॉक किया हैंडकफ्स को, एंड इवान को कहा दैट वेयर ही वुड लाइक टू गो इन फैक्ट, एंड दे वर इवान्स फ्रेंड्स, वो इवान के फ्रेंड्स थे. एंड इवान हैड वंस अगेन आउटमास्टर्ड द गवर्नर एंड दिस वे ही हैड अ अमेजिंग एंड अ सक्सेसफुल एस्केप फ्रॉम देयर. अंडरस्टैंड? अच्छे से समझ में आई अल्टीमेटली. नाउ मैंने उसको समराइज भी करके आपको बहुत अच्छे से 2 बार में समझा दिया है. एंड इफ यस, अगर सब कुछ सच में अच्छे से समझ आया तो एक बार फटाफट से क्विकली हैंड रेज कर दो, जल्दी जल्दी. यस, वेरी गुड. ना एक बड़ा ही कॉमन सा एक क्वेश्चन है, क्या है दैट व्हाट काइंड ऑफ पर्सन वाज इवांस. इवांस कैसा पर्सन था? We can say that he was a very expert kind of a person. He was a very smart witted man, and he was expert as he escaped from the prison and was called Ivan the Break. He was genius at planning and foresight, and he was very clever. He had many friends and contacts who helped him to escape. He was a very good actor. Nobody doubting him when he was acting as McCleary. जब वो McCleary जैसा act कर रहा था, कोई किसी ने उस पे डाउट नहीं किया. nobody. So you can just see that what an amazing way he managed the things. क्या आसान है सबके लिए? No, ये इतनी इजी चीज नहीं है जितनी की ये हमें लग रही है. 3 टाइम्स के बाद में आप समझ सकते हो दैट 3 टाइम्स अगर आप भागे हो तो उसके बाद में 4th टाइम द काइंड ऑफ प्रेशर दैट यू कैन हैव इज the kind of, we can say, the security that is imposed on you is really something different and amazing. तो वो एक चीजें यहाँ पे हुई. So there were lots of precautions that have been taken for the smooth conduct of examination, but ultimately he finally escaped from it. So this way we can say that it was really a very wonderful story, and I hope you understand it well. Chalo, yes. Now if you want to ask anything, you can ask. Yes, anything? किसी को कुछ पूछना है? अगर नहीं पूछना होता तो that means we know that you have understood it well, right? चलो, okay. So एक final hand raise दे दो so that we can just off the class. अगर सब सही है तो ठीक है. Now जो हमारा नेक्स्ट जो भी सेक्शन आने वाला है दैट इज ऑन मंडे, द क्लास दैट वील हैव नाउ. तो उसमें हम लोग इनविटेशन राइटिंग जो आपका पार्ट है दैट इज फॉर्मल एंड इनफॉर्मल इनविटेशन राइटिंग, वी आर गोइंग टू कंक्लूड दैट. ओके, वी विल कंप्लीट एंड कंक्लूड दैट. ओके, चलो. सो बी प्रेजेंट फॉर द मंडे क्लास. तो उसमें हम इनविटेशन दैट इज योर राइटिंग सेक्शन विल बी डन बाय अस, and you can go through the text of this chapter, and if there will be any doubts we can later clear it in our revision classes. Okay, chalo. Take care of yourself and see you.